In this video we want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of family business. Family businesses are a very important aspect of the national economy. There are many family businesses in existence, and it's important that we should recognize these as almost a subset of our study of small businesses. And to that end, we want to look at the advantages and disadvantages of this type of structure. So, family businesses play an important role in the economy, as I just said. The type of business contributes to many factors such as job creation, development of skills, trade and innovation. They've got essentially the same attributes as small businesses, but they are very flexible and they can shift their focus quite easily and quickly compared to perhaps other and bigger business structures. So they're able to innovate and change and modify what they're doing very quickly. But generally speaking, family businesses tend to be orientated towards services, providing catering or restaurant facilities or hairdressing salons, or normally that's what we associate with family businesses. But we shouldn't be surprised to find out that family businesses may also represent quite significant businesses. And there are many, particularly in construction machinery, which started as small-scale family businesses and have grown to be multinational. JCB, for example. Now, the advantages of family businesses. Well, there's a tight-knit family atmosphere which has a positive influence throughout the organization. Employees, customers, suppliers and contractors. It cuts across all of them. They all feel the tight-knit family atmosphere. So it has a positive influence. They feel that they're dealing with honourable people, they're dealing with decent people, committed to family values and who respect each other and respect who they're dealing with. There is a deep sense of trust in this type of business. They are reputable. That's the feeling that comes across when we talk about family business. We think of them as small scale, but at the same time reputable, honest, hard-working. There's also better communications within the organization. For example, they may share goals and visions, and they may have a particular culture towards work and business. But they also have a sense of belonging to the business and a strong family commitment towards the achievement of goals. So once they've agreed on what the business is going to do, they focus in on it and they have a strong commitment to achieve it. They're working as a family unit to achieve business objectives. There's also a strong commitment to develop into flexible working practices. Family members working longer hours to achieve goals, but also they have respect for their employees who may have family obligations as well, and who perhaps can't work traditional office hours. Perhaps some employees have family obligations to take their children to school or collect their children after school or whatever. Family businesses tend to have a reputation to be able to accommodate this, to be flexible, to bend as required, and as such it enhances their reputation, it enhances their standing within the community, and also there are rewards in the sense of getting more loyalty from their employees as a consequence of this behaviour. Advantages of family businesses. Well, there is more reluctance to take money out of the business. A source of growth and enables the business to quickly respond to changing environmental conditions. there is a commitment to the business within the family unit. And if there is a commitment to the business, they don't want to see the business endangered, so they don't take out of the business. They respect the business and they want the business to thrive and to survive. So they don't abuse the financial resources of the business. They don't take out sums of money that can be ill afforded. But instead, they leave the cash in the business, which can then go on to be used for innovative purposes, to expand the business, to expand the number of outlets, to bring in new technology, whatever it is. There's less pressure from the stock markets to produce results as well. Family businesses are more focused on the long-term view. Many stock market businesses tend to look to the next quarter's results when the shareholders want to see how they're doing. And a lot of effort has to go into preparing the reports and issuing the reports so that the shareholders know how they're doing on a quarterly basis. Well, with family businesses, they don't do that. So those resources are not used up in that way. So they don't have to address the requirements of the stock market. The permanent management structure allows them to develop long-term strategies. Again, family businesses tend to be run by a respected but competent member of the family or someone respected by the family, and the chances are that person will be in situ for a long time and will therefore know the business intimately and will develop long-term strategies, not short-term, long-term strategies which may cut over many years, and that will lead to greater stability in the business also. Family businesses display greater independence, no risk of takeover or stock market pressure. Well, they don't issue shares, so there's no pressure on them in the context of being taken over or hostile bids coming in. It is a family business, so they have much greater independence. They're also less bureaucratic, which enables quick decision making and greater flexibility. Less bureaucratic because they don't need to employ lots of employees to perform certain functions, perhaps administrative functions or record keeping functions. The individual members of the family can be trusted to keep their own particular aspect of the business in control. So it's less bureaucratic. It can be dealt with quite easily at almost informal meetings where issues are dealt with. Simply the person looking after a particular part of the business is spoken to and that issue is resolved. It doesn't require meetings, it doesn't require memos and follow-ups, and so there is less bureaucracy within this type of structure. There's also greater motivation and resilience in harder times, willingness to reinvest profits back into the business. There's much more motivation for the business to survive. When the business is under pressure, the chances are the people involved will forego perhaps part of their salaries or part of their remuneration to enable the business to invest or get itself out of difficulties. So it tends to be much more resilient in hard times. These type of businesses tend to ride out recessions very well. Disadvantages of the family business. Well, limited growth or limited access, I should say, to financial markets can impact on business growth. Well, they can't go to the financial markets for cash to invest because they're not part of the stock market. They're not constructed in that way. So they can't borrow, and perhaps that's a good thing. It's down here as a disadvantage, but it could also be an advantage because it constrains them from running up debts. Some organisation structures can be seen as confusing and messy with no clear structure, no clear allocation of roles and responsibilities. And sometimes family businesses can seem like that. It seems like there's an overlap between all of them seem to be doing the same tasks, or there's duplication in the tasks, and it looks like there's no clear demarcation, no clear structure or departmentalization. But as long as the job is done and it's done efficiently, the business will succeed. So that can be set aside against some of the advantages we talked about earlier. Some organizations may not account for reward systems, training and development opportunities. Sometimes the smaller businesses, they don't emphasize the need for training or for development opportunities. So there's no real investment in that type of activity, which of course could be to the detriment of the business in the long run. And particularly if it's subject to competition, either domestically or from overseas, it may suffer as a consequence of not investing in proper training for its workforce. There's more room for conflict, mixing of personal, family and business relations. Family businesses can be confusing. Sometimes a family problem, a family dispute can overlap with the business, can be brought into the business domain, and the bad will from the dispute within the family can manifest itself within the business, although the issue has nothing to do with the business. It's just the personalities don't like each other at the moment. There's an argument between them, and now this means that the business is being disrupted because there's no effective communications between those parts of the business. So there's more room for conflict because of the extra dimension of this family dimension, this family background. So it could be that there is an issue about continuity and smooth running in family businesses, because as I said, there's more opportunity for disagreements, and when a disagreement arises in one area, it may affect the running of the other area. Financial strain from members milking the system, inequalities arising between contribution and compensation. It's nearly almost a case, it's almost inevitable that there may be disputes within the family, that someone is not pulling his or her weight, someone is taking more out than they're putting in, someone is not trying as hard as they should. This type of dispute may arise, and it depends on how the family deal with these issues. How coherent is the family itself? Can they deal with the issues? Can they resolve the issues? If not, then the business may suffer because there is a source of dispute between the family members as to who's making the biggest contribution, who's taking the most out, who's endangering the business by taking too much out, and this type of issue or problem. More room for conflict, mixing personal and business relations, as I said, is the issue, and that is one that we must bear in mind. It sort of swamps all of the other points I'm making along here. But let's go to the last point on it. Well, succession planning can be a long and difficult process. A critical time for the business can result in business failures. Succession planning in the context of a family business can be particularly problematic because it may actually reflect what's going to be in the will of a person who's handing over the business. Someone within the family has to be selected to run the business, and that means other members of the family are rejected, and that could lead to family problems. So succession planning is a real problem for this type of business, and if succession planning is not done properly, there won't be anybody in place when the leading figure, the managing director or the chairperson or whoever it is, when that person stands down, there's got to be someone to take that place. And the person taking the place must be aware of the business, all of the issues surrounding the business, the market, the history of the business, the personalities involved, the production of the items produced, and all aspects of the business. So that person has to be trained over a long period. And the mere selection of that person could lead to ill will within the business and within the family. So it can be a real problem for the business when trying to decide how to continue after the key figure leaves, perhaps is taken ill, or just simply wants to retire, or when that happens, who takes over? So these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of family businesses. Really, it's the same as small business plus this extra dimension of family. And when members of the family, many members of a family, are involved in the family business, we get these extra dimensions coming in, which is what these slides have covered. But that's it. Let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.